from the oldest city in the USA, St. Augustine Tonight, with our guests,
William McRea, Karla Wagner, and musical guest, Chemtrails.
And your host, Jorge Rivera.
Here we are. You know, this is our last show here at the Lincolnville Museum and Cultural Center. I'm really going to miss this venue. It's like an old Victorian theater in West London. You know, it's very nice, very nice. They've been so nice to us, and it's been, all the shows here have been spectacular. So I want to thank you all for being here once again, for supporting our show. It's our Tonight Show here in St. Augustine, or the closest thing to it. And it's been a remarkable week getting ready for the show. And as always, I read the news. And the new thing that's out there that is amazing, I watch so many videos on it, is the new Impossible Burger. Don't know if you heard of the Impossible Burger. It's made out of wheat, potato, some other proteins. It looks exactly like ground beef. When you cook it, it bleeds like ground beef. You could cook it medium rare. It creates a crust. Don't know you're eating a burger and there's no meat in it. And there's a molecule they use, which they call heme, which is, it's red, it's like blood. And that's what they use to create. And the funny thing of all the different videos of chefs cooking it, people trying it, people who are burger eaters, they don't let them know it's the plant burger. They look at it, they cut it in half, looks great, they eat it, and at the end they said there was no meat in that burger. And their faces just drop. So now they're going to, they're testing it in New York, of course, San Francisco, Los Angeles. They hope to have about 1,000 restaurants selling this meatless burger. The environmental thing behind it is less cows, et cetera, et cetera. Vegetarians can actually have a juicy burger and not feel guilty about it. So I thought that was incredible. So yeah, look it up, the Impossible Burger. I think DiCaprio now put a whole bunch of money behind the scientists and the people. They're using neuroscience to figure this thing out. And it looks like, so what is it? It has to look, taste, smell, and there's another, and sound like a burger, like when it's cooking. If you hit those four, the person will believe it's a burger. And the brain, all the things. So I thought it was incredible, yeah. The other thing that's funny, General Motors is going to test a driverless car in New York City. I think that is really where it puts the car to a test. I mean, because then you go into Los Angeles, then you go into a lot of places where cars really have to merge. You have bikers, you have pedestrians, you have So that'll be the real test for the driverless car. Now, talking about driverless cars and electric cars, I know that Elon Musk promised the first quarter would have 1,500 of his electric cars on the road. He's only been able to build less than 300. So he's behind by about 1,200 cars. And the next quarter, he has to make that up plus a thing. So that's a huge, huge problem for him. But I don't know if you've seen the car, it looks fantastic. It looks like something you'd want to drive. I remember I was in Jacksonville and actually went in the Tesla little dealership in there. You should go. Take that little trip if you're at the town center. Go in there. They're amazing machines, amazing. And that he was able to bring the price down to where people can afford it, it's amazing. But he's in trouble. He promised 1,500 cars for that first quarter and another 15 for the next. And then he's behind already by 1,200 cars. And it's a problem. It's a problem. And talking about technology, the last story I'll share with you is that now in South Africa, because they have these problems with white sharks attacking people, they're using drones to spot the sharks. No one wants to swim and run into one of these things or surf. So it's very important for them to have them. These drones are 92% accurate. So they're saving lives. They're getting people out of the water. And I saw a shot where the drone was actually pinpointing and sending the information to the people on the other end. And they were able to know exactly where these sharks were and to bring people out. So that is amazing, amazing to use technology. You know, people have fun with drones. But hey, let's save lives with drones, right? In Puerto Rico, I guess there's an Italian company working drones that don't work with GPS. They work with internal memory and cameras. And so you could fly them and see stuff, but it's just you and the drone. You don't have to count on GPS. It's amazing. It uses the cameras itself to know where it's at. So the future's changing. And talking about the future, our show today, our guests are William McRea. Our second guest, Karla Wagner. And our musical guests, Chemtrails. And when we come back, Chemtrails, after these messages. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Grant Paxton. Welcome to Foxtrot Creative Studio. Let me show you what we do.
We've been in business for 3 years now. We can create different graphics for you, ads, mailers, flyers, business cards, logos, and even websites. And we're also a printing company as well. So we can create for you the design you need and then the final product. We can usually get you with a design, we can get you a brand new business card in less than 2 days.
US1 Computer Works has been serving St. Augustine since 2002. We make repairs on all makes. Is your computer slowing down because of malware and viruses? Bring it to us, and if you can't come to us, we'll come to you. Do you need a wireless network at your business? Problems with your routers? Call US1 Computers. We're ready for the task.
Thank you. Thank you.
At Martinez & Associates, we can help you with many things. Number one is income for life throughout your retirement, which is very important. Number two would be Medicare choices, which are very confusing. Number three is a legacy for your loved ones. And finally, keeping you independent throughout retirement. My name is Tuli Martinez. Call this number. Y hablamos español.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Chemtrails, they were awesome. Solid rock and roll. My first guest is William McRea, known also as William Mayhem.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here on the stage with you.
And we all know you around town as the pirate. And some people say he's a pirate 100% all the time, 24/7.
Doesn't matter what I'm wearing, I am a pirate to everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
So tell me, what's home for you? Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school?
I went to school in Texas, Arkansas, Arizona, and Florida.
Oh, wow. You were born in St. Augustine.
But I was born in St. Augustine.
Wow, native son.
I am a native of St. Augustine, and my father passed away when I was young, and my mother married into one of the other St. Augustinian families. And that man decided that joining the Air Force back that long ago was the smart thing to do. And we ended up traveling, and like I say, Texas, actually England.
Oh, wow.
Texas, Arkansas, Texas, Arizona, Florida. And then it was time for me to be an adult and do the same thing.
Wow, wow. And so you call yourself more a historic entertainer.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. I don't like to consider myself a reenactor. I prefer to call myself a historic entertainer, using entertainment value to still talk about history.
Right.
Because I believe the entertainment side is the hook that actually brings people in to make them want to listen and watch and be a part of what you're doing. It's very, like, very effective.
It's like a magic, the gimmick.
It is. It is the gimmick. The magic has the three parts, and the gimmick is the one that hooks everybody in.
Right.
And so it is the best way to do it.
And at what age did you feel that performance might be something for you? I mean, how young were you?
Got my first magic set from Ripley's, believe it or not, right here in St. Augustine. They had a magic shop then, back in the 60s.
How old were you?
About 8 or 9 years old. About 8 years old. And was very excited about learning to do magic. And it became a bug. It became a focus. It became...
an obsession, maybe?
Probably more than that. And I've used magic to get through my world all through life. It's been good for me. And now known as the Pirate Magician. I actually did many years in Las Vegas, doing comedy clubs.
Wow.
And I came home in 2006 because I was just too old to stay in Las Vegas.
Well, yeah, the young bloods come to replace you. It's no different than playing football or baseball.
They're always looking for the younger out there. I was in Las Vegas, to give you an idea how it actually works. I was in Las Vegas in the 80s when almost all the casinos decided to go to canned music. No disrespect for our performers tonight, but they all went to canned music, which put all the live musicians out of business.
Wow.
It was a big fight. That's progress. I don't agree with it, but that's progress. Same with magicians, same with comedians. They want the younger ones, the ones that will play to the audience more. I don't know, in magic I think they played it wrong, because in magic, if you look older and more wise, you make a better magician. But
well, even when you see magic as a child, it's Merlin. Or in Harry Potter, it's the older ones, the ones that have the most power. Or even in Lord of the Rings, you know. So, was there any magician that caught your eye when you were growing up?
Yes. Some of my historically, obviously, and almost every magician in the world will say Harry Houdini.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Harry Houdini. But also Thurston Blackstone Sr. I was lucky enough to meet Blackstone Jr.
Wow.
in my day as a younger magician. And then the magicians of my time, of my younger time, were Copperfield.
Yes. He made
Doug
the
Henning.
airplane disappear or something.
Doug Henning. Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear, made an airplane disappear. I like Doug Henning more, though.
Right.
Doug Henning was a Canadian magician, but became very popular on stage in New York, Broadway.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And had turned his show into a theme, and that's what made me enjoy more magic. You could take everything and make it a theme, make it a story.
Right.
And then I was lucky enough to meet Doug Henning in my 20s.
Right. And
got
so
a chance to see
you would
Doug.
fill in your magic with comedy also.
Always, because I'm a smart aleck. It's the way it is. And even now as a pirate, it makes it easier, because as a pirate, I can say and do whatever I want.
Well, there's my other question is, how did you end up being, so you come back to St. Augustine like in 2006.
Yes.
So how do you end up as Captain Mayhem?
By accident. A very good fortuitous accident, I would say. But I actually, when I came home, I thought, I'm going home. I'm going to bring my Las Vegas magic show, my Las Vegas talent to St. Augustine. And in the summer of 2007, I tried it out. Failed miserably and embarrassingly. It just didn't work.
Okay.
St. Augustine, I guess, wasn't ready for it.
It's not Vegas.
It isn't Vegas. It's different. In the interim of all that, I was doing magic downtown in some of the tavern-type places, card tricks and coins and whatever. I love close-up magic. And somebody said, you should dress up, maybe in colonial outfit, and be a colonial traveling magician and fit the part. What they didn't know was they opened a door that had two bad sides to it. First bad side was that being a magician in colonial America was against the law. And you could be run out on a rail.
Because of the whole religious
Because
thing.
of the whole religion thing.
It's like some very religious groups won't let children watch Harry Potter.
That's
because
true.
They feel that that's a bad influence.
So in developing that character, though, the history of it all was that the magicians were also tinkers, the people that would come around and fix everything for everybody.
Okay.
Maybe mercenary soldiers, men of traveled means. So I combined it all together, and more than anything else, William Mayhem the Pirate actually came out.
Wow.
It didn't make a few people happy, but that's all right.
So this was not the first
This
product.
this wasn't
This
the
is an
intent.
evolution.
This is the evolution.
Of over 10 years.
And Mayhem has been that evolution and strong now for probably 7 of the 10 years. To the point that, especially because of my involvement with the St. Augustine Pirate and Treasure Museum,
Yes.
over the last 6 years, that has put me on the face of many television shows about pirate history around the world.
Right.
It has
Good
garnered
exposure.
me invites
Okay.
to do speaking engagements with universities around the world on pirate history.
Oh, wow.
And so the evolution of William Mayhem has become this here.
Wow.
And it's worked quite well. I tell everybody jokingly, in the 20, 25 years I was in Las Vegas, I've only been back home now for 10, 11 years. I'm more famous as William Mayhem than I ever was as William McRea, the magician in Vegas.
Oh, wow.
It's something. It's really
Isn't
amazing.
something how life, the serendipity of fate, I call it. But here's another thing. One thing I thought, you were in the Air Force for 15 years.
Yes.
Thank you for your service,
Well,
my
that's
friend.
very good,
You
very
know,
good.
thank you for your service. And now, while you were in the Air Force, were you able to perform also?
Yes.
To work in
Magic was a good way, going from assignment to assignment, a good opening of doors. The same with when I was in school as a kid. Doing magic tricks kind of kept me from getting beat up by the school bullies, that kind of a thing. But also, I traveled overseas a lot.
Okay.
Magic gave me the opportunity to go off base into countries where I was assigned, Japan, Korea, those bases, and actually get to immerse myself in the culture of those countries. And magic was a very, especially in Japan.
Great way to meet people.
And it was a great way to meet people. And I ended up doing magic shows at orphanages for children.
Okay.
much like I do school tours now for children. I love children. I have a wonderful time with it. And now this character of William Mayhem, I have people that come to the museum or come to St. Augustine, and every year they want to take the same posed picture with Captain Mayhem that their children have taken for 5 years in a row. It's flattering, really. It's honorable.
Hey, I'm here with St. Pirate.
So some people all around the world have a picture of me on their refrigerator, right?
That's funny.
It's interesting.
That's funny. Now you do private engagements, all that, but you also do a lot of charity work.
Do a lot of charity work. I'm the Commodore of the St. Augustine Swashbucklers.
The Swashbucklers, that was it.
About 130 men strong.
Oh, wow.
Men and women, I should say, 130 crew members.
Now, they're all pirates too at heart?
They're all pirates at heart. They help me and participate together in about 37 events a year.
Wow.
That culminate in the end of the year, coming up on November 4th with our second annual pig roast.
Okay.
And the money we raise in November and December goes to our toy drive.
Okay.
And we give away not just toys to children, but we find families that are in need. And because of the hurricane in 16 and then that last 2 hurricanes that have come this way, there are many families that need help, and we try to give them something to help them out. We can't go and rebuild their houses, but we can go and at least give them something to at least make the holidays a good time for them.
Right, boost the morale, I say. Yeah.
Last year, the St. Augustine Swashbucklers for the entire year gave somewhere in the neighborhood of $33,000, $34,000, $35,000 away to charities, all having to do with children. And the children, besides the holidays, the children we work with all through the year are children and their families who have medical issues. We're trying to help them out. So it works very well for them.
Now, have you been able to figure out why children find pirates so fascinating?
Well, it's the only thing I'll thank Disney for. If you were to look at the real history of pirates, they are scoundrels, ne'er-do-wells. There's a few words we won't use in mixed company.
Yeah, they'd be politicians too.
Politicians too. But if you think about it, and the way I tell it, history has a chunk in time of their bad boys. And then the people that are running the world make laws and rules and everything else to put those bad boys back in their place. And it works for a short period of time, and then there's another period of bad boys, then there's another period of politicians making rules and laws, and it leapfrogs all the way down. And if you think about it, you can name some of them. You can name the pirates, you can name the gangsters of the early 1900s, you can name the gunfighters of the 1870s and 80s. You can name these different cultures that had that, and it's an interesting way to look at history. That you have to have one so you can have the other, and vice versa. It's how progress, it's how your history completely moves forward.
So where do you see your whole organization going towards the future?
With the St. Augustine Swashbucklers?
Yeah, and even you as a performer.
Well, I'm lucky. I will say this. St. Augustine is one of the very few cities in the entire United States that I can dress like this, walk the streets with all of this, and not have any problems. Any other city in the United States at my age looking like this, I'd just be some creepy old guy. So that wouldn't go over very well. But with the crew itself, the crew has 9 officers, and I now stand back and push most of it onto them. And we're already, and I mentioned the 30,000 plus mark for 2016, we're already past that in 2017. And with the way things are looking in 18, we'll pass it again. So we're going to have to come up with new and innovative ways to take care of what we want to do to keep helping everybody. We could end up being a real pirate foundation.
I know, it's such a fun way to help.
It is. It's enjoyable. We have 130 men and women, some of them with their children who are part of the crew, and we allow them to join the crew and participate together. We have November 4th is our pig roast. The whole weekend, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, there are 2 other pirate crews, Ancient City Privateers doing something on that Friday night, and then on Saturday afternoon, the crew of the 13, both St. Augustine crews, much smaller crews, but we're all working together now, and they're doing something on that Saturday afternoon, leading into our pig roast that Saturday night, and it's open to the public. You don't have to be a pirate to come out and have fun.
What I found very interesting, this is an anecdote, I guess, is some women artists really found you fascinating and painted a painting of you basically wearing this really great.
Pretty much this.
And it went up in the gallery and it sold right
It
away.
sold right away. There was she saw me in the Taberna, part of the colonial quarter, and did some charcoal pictures. And then next thing you know, she is doing this portrait, and she puts the portrait in the studio on Avalise.
Right.
And within 3 or 4 weeks, it sold for a 4-digit figure.
You have a price on your head,
There's a price on my head now. And it sold to somebody who doesn't live anywhere near here. They live in Tennessee, if I remember right.
Wow.
But they have been now given an offer by me, because they do come to St. Augustine once in a while, that if they come to St. Augustine, I'm going to take them go around to some of the pubs here and give them some of the flavor of St. Augustine.
That's correct. Well, a
wonderful cup.
I always wanted you on the show, and I thank you very much.
Well, I thank you
for
very
William
much.
Mayhem. May you keep up your good work and keep us smiling, my friend.
Well, I
and
will
keep
try
history
very hard.
alive.
It's fun to do it as a pirate, all right?
All right. William. We'll be back with our next guest after these messages. Thank you.
Good job, Eric. Good.
Yes.
Our ingredients are mostly natural. It's palm oil, coconut oil, olive oil. We put cocoa butter, shea butter, and real silk in our soaps. Also, it's something that's pleasing to the eye and you enjoy using it. Come visit us at Antoinette's Bathhouse.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with our second guest, Karla. Is it Wagner or Wagner?
Either way would work. Von Wagner or Wagner, either way. I go with.
Very Austrian, very German, yes, Wagner. The W is a V in Germany, I learned. So, wow, I've known you since you opened that wonderful place called the Corazon Cinema and Cafe. I want to give it a hand. That place was a game changer, at least for me in the city, because I've been here since 2006, and you've been open since?
We celebrated our 3rd year anniversary on September 23rd.
Right.
So very excited about that. It's been a long haul, 2 hurricanes, and reinventing the wheel after I purchased it. But we're going forward. We're making some strides, and we're very happy about it.
For those of you who haven't been there, I feel very sorry for you all, but it's right there on Granada, right next to the City Hall, Lewis Auditorium. You just go a little further down, and you call it an art house.
I do. I call it an art house because when I opened it, I originally was thinking films. That's my passion, films. But the cafe came along, and then also we incorporated things like comedy night, improv, open mic poetry. We have tea, high tea, afternoon teas. It's just a variety of different things that we have brought in to the Corazon, and it's been very successful with that. Tonight actually is trivia night, and one of the theaters is used just for trivia, and it's completely packed.
Yes.
We have an old silent film.
And I remember when that started, there were only just a handful of people, and now it's like, I talk to a lot of people. This is funny. I say, hey, what are you doing Wednesday? Oh, I'm going to trivia night to the Corazon. I said, well, that goes that evening.
I know I had to promise a couple people in the audience tonight, you'll be out for trivia. Don't worry, you'll be out.
Yes, because it's tonight. And where is home for you?
Well, not too far away. I'm a Floridian, born and raised in Orlando. I actually lived in Winter Park for quite some time.
Winter Park.
And that's where I acquired my inspiration for the Corazon. We had a couple art theaters there. One was called the Enzion Theater, and I used to take my grandmother there when I was old enough to drive, and we'd get the silver passes, and we'd go from one movie to the next, and some of them would be like X-rated. But you know, in a foreign language, it didn't seem like it mattered quite as much with the bullfighting fighter. We were okay with that. But then I would ride my bike down the street to the Aloma Draft House, another little kind of cute little place that played independent type indie movies, and just had a love for it. But I never dreamt that I would actually open something. It was kind of like serendipity. It just kind of came together after we purchased a house here in St. Augustine and decided that, you know, I was riding down the street to go to Old Potbelly's and trying to drag my neighbors to come with me, and they
For those of you who don't know, that's what that was before. It was called a potbelly.
And they would say, oh, the floors are a bit sticky here, and the paddle fans are hitting our head when we sit down to watch the film. But it was the film. It was the independent films that they had there that just I loved. And they were closed for a year. And I was depressed, saying, how could you not have a cute, quaint little art house, a cinema in this lovely town of art? And so after arm wrestling my husband, I won, and I opened it up. So
yeah, because always I grew up in the restaurant business. My father was a restaurateur. And yeah, you have to put a lot of hours, man.
Too many, yes.
Yeah, a lot of hours.
Too many hours, but it's okay, because for some reason, as tired as I am, I get there and this energy just comes about. And I think it's because of the people that come, you know, oh Karla, you know, right before the film, I'm like the Robert Osborne, I kind of engaged them a little bit about the film, maybe a little bit of trivia or something of that nature, and it's the smiles on their face, and just, oh, thanks for playing that film. Oh, you picked the greatest films. Now, granted, we're not packed, but, you know, at least the ones that come really, really enjoy it, and they appreciate it. And that's why I keep going forward with everything.
What was the whole passion? I think in the audience we have Joseph Marks, who was a guest in our first show. He knows that passion for films,
absolutely.
His Golden Wave films and his other little ventures, all involving film. Could you remember a film early on that really impressed you as a child?
Well, my all-time favorite, and I think everybody laughs when I say this because I can't sit still for more than an hour, is Gone with the Wind.
Oh, wow.
Love, love. I mean, who could create something as beautiful as Gone with the Wind? The whole storyline, 4 hours, 4 hours. I mean, they had an intermission.
Yes.
I mean, it was just wonderful. But now there's so many films, there's so many great directors. I mean, Stanley Kubrick, you know, with The Shining, because we're in the Halloween time, and Alfred Hitchcock was Psycho, and The
Kubrick's
Birds.
2001. When you watch that film, it looks like it was filmed yesterday.
I know.
I watched that film, I can't get over it. It doesn't, because you watch other sci-fi from that period, and it looks like, I remember growing up with Flash Gordon, like teapots pouring smoke.
And Wizard of Oz,
and as a kid, you believed it.
Would come down and we were just like terrified.
That, for me,
Absolutely.
I'd step away from the TV.
Absolutely.
I was 5 years old. I remember when I saw The Wizard of Oz and that witch, when she showed up, I took 2 steps back, you know.
Right. But now they have such technology, and if you had to ask me who is my favorite director, I would have to say the most influential director, I think, right now is Steven Spielberg.
Okay.
And I just think not only is he probably the wealthiest, but all from Private Saving Ryan to the Jurassic Park. And I remember a little story where my son begged me, and I had all the dinosaurs lined up and said, oh, please, Jurassic Park. And we're like, oh, because he was like 10, should we do it? And finally we did it. He was so mesmerized. He wrote a letter to Steven Spielberg, and they wrote back and said, thank you, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I am going to work for that company one day. He's at Universal's today. So it was kind of cool. You know, the whole thing came around with that.
But that's the thing that makes him, I think, amazing, is that he'll do a film that you say it's geared for children, but you're sucked into it. They're sitting there, you're just...
It's just mesmerizing. So just in the variety of different films that he was able to pull off. Sometimes you get hooked on a director because you know the style they make. He has ventured out all over the place, which has just been wonderful.
Wow.
But so we pull those things in, but we do a lot of community work too.
Right.
For example, tomorrow we're actually doing a Lee Weaver, the Shooter, plan.
If you haven't seen that play.
And it's apropos right now, perfect timing. And then on Friday, I have an environmental film that's coming in. The USGBC, it's an environmental service group up in North Florida, sponsors the film. They bring in a topic that is, you know, true to heart, be it sea level rising or in this particular
I've
case.
been there for so many things.
Yes, it's about the sonic noise in the seas and how it affects the animals and things of that nature.
Well, there's a movement in St. Augustine to canonize you, you know, because
really? I didn't know about
you
that.
are loved by some because you are so giving with that structure.
Well, thank you.
Because I remember I knew Potbellies. I went in there and I got stuck. Someone had to unglue me. And then I was removed from the premises, never returned. Yes, I mean, you got goo everywhere. Your hands are sticky, your shoes are sticky. I mean, God bless them. They were running a business and they've been there for a long time. And I know that businesses sometimes don't have the money to say, okay, you know, so, okay. So there's the joke. But when I walked in that place, that first time, I went, oh my God, is this the same space? And I thought it was one theater when I walked in there. And I saw theater number 1, theater number 2, theater number 3.
I was so creative with my naming.
The bar,
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
And then the lights, that industrial, the exposed brick. I said, oh my Lord.
We are considered one of the oldest brick buildings in the entire city, too, in St. Augustine, which is just phenomenal. Yeah,
you kept it.
As long as we don't continue to get flooding,
I know.
and I don't get washed away, yes, I will be there.
I think yesterday was maybe one of the days where I can remember the tide being as high as it was.
Yeah.
Last night I drove by the fort. I could barely make it to the road. The ocean had taken over that whole road.
Yes.
All the way out to where I live. Right behind the fort, so
no, I was actually in the New York Times about that too.
Really?
So absolutely,
Wow.
and you know, I think there is, you know, light at the end of the tunnel. We just got to get going with the tunnel, you know, just to
we
get
need to
to
put
that
something
light.
that elevates your theater like 9 feet up in the air, and we take a spiral stair to go up.
You never know. You never know with all that.
But what do you see the future of your
Well,
place?
expanding. I'm working with a group called Friends of the Corazon Inc. right now, and they've been very helpful. A nonprofit group, just like the amphitheater and the library and things of that nature.
It brings so much.
Absolutely,
to the city.
and so we're trying to expand a little bit more. Maybe get involved with the New York critics, and maybe expanding into some of the theater, being, you know, ballet or, you know, the Metro opera, things of that nature. So we're looking at some of that. I'm actually, you know, talking to some people right now, but I still, even when I opened it, I knew I was never going to be a millionaire. I'm not trying to be a millionaire. But the connection with the community is what is so important. And when we do these things, like this Sunday, I've got the Great Cattle Drive coming in, and they filmed this documentary here in Florida, and they're going to come with the author. And to me, you know, we're going to dress up like cowboys, and this is so much fun. How can you not have fun with that? So that's the passion.
Great. And I know you do a lot for the veterans too, because
I do.
I get involved with them, and they love you there too.
Yeah, I love the
veterans. Matter of fact, on the 30th, I'm doing something with them to promote something that they're going to do at the Corazon. So, wow, your 3 best films.
My 3 best films? Oh, why would you do that to me? My 3 best films?
3 best films. We put you on an island, and we said you can only take 3 films with you.
Well, I would do the Gone with the Wind. It would occupy my time all the way. Well, somebody shout out what their best film. What is it?
Casablanca.
Love. Joe? It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life. Okay, I'm going to take those 3.
Oh, wow.
I can't choose. I mean, every time I finish a film, I go, oh my gosh, I love that film. And then I'm on to my next love. You know, so yeah.
I remember watching Sophie's Choice.
Oh, that's one of my favorite films. Oh, my favorite film.
And I remember when it ended, no one moved. And it was in a theater in New York City, so it had the curtain, you know, and the credits all ended, the curtain closed, no one would move, and I didn't want to be the first one to get up. And everyone is just emotionally drained.
Yes.
I mean, there's nothing left.
Oh, that was a great film.
And eventually some lady got up and I said, thank God, you know. Yeah. and then everyone, like all these people suddenly all got up. But that's a film. Another film I remember impacted me was, I was the last to have the draft card to Vietnam. And I went and stood in line to see Cimino's Deer Hunter.
Oh,
and when that movie ended, the people sobbing and crying, and no one also moving. Those 2 movies I remember, watching them live with people, and the emotional devastation it left. So that's the power of film.
It is. It's like
brings you in.
Oh my gosh, it's so great. And then some people may not like the choices that I make, but you've got to remember they're like books. You don't have to come and see the film. You know,
read the book.
But it's educational. It's inspiring. I like it when people have something to say about the film, be it good, bad, or ugly. That means it's, you know, it's opening your mind. You know, it's actually
and I think film does that.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible how there could be a very nasty argument in society, and suddenly this film comes up, and like everybody shuts up and suddenly starts reevaluating what they thought about the issue. It's powerful. It's powerful. And I love that building there. I thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
I have one little thing for you as a surprise. Actually, it's so funny. I've been carrying this around all day, and it's been lopsided and everything else. But Jorge, you do so much for the community. You are just so awesome. And so this is a little popcorn treat for you. It has a Corazon wine, candy, and some movie tickets.
Oh, wow.
So
I'll be there.
Enjoy it.
I'll be there.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you. Give her a hand, please. Thank you. Thank you. When we come back, we're going to talk to Gary West about chemtrails.
Hi, I'm Karla Wagner. I am the owner of what we call in the hood the Triple C's, and that stands for the Corazon Cinema and Cafe, here located at 36 Granada Street.
And how many theaters you got in that lovely place?
Oh, you haven't been to the Corazon? You need to come on out and see. Come on out. This is one, and this is Theater 2. Last but not least, Theater 3.
So what kind of movies do you run here?
Oh, we have a variety of different movies. We have classical, foreign, documentaries. You name it, we carry it. We're an art house, so we have a lot of different movies.
That's right, you're an art house. Well, I gotta say, I like the way Triple C rolls. Yeah, that's Chaplin, love him.
So, you can come here to socialize, you can come here for a great film, or you can come here and have a bite to eat too. So come and see us.
Salud.
Salud.
I like this place.
Oh, and by the way, we have a valued commodity, and that's lots of parking.
Okay. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with Gary West. Gary West from the group Chemtrails. Not the Chemtrails, Chemtrails. That's right. Let's get it together. Now, where did that name come from?
Just driving around in the car trying to think of a name. We had been rehearsing for about a month, and one of the guys said, we need a name. And so we went back and forth on Facebook and Messenger and just trying to throw out different names. And one day I was out with my wife hitting the thrift stores, and I was like, Chemtrails. So I sent everybody a message, and they were like, I wanted the Chemtrails, but everybody's like, no, not that. Yeah, no the. And I think that was
the meaning to have.
That was a better decision.
Yes, an article before. No, but the word chemtrails, what does it mean?
So, well, the conspiracy theory about chemtrails.
Do we have conspiracy theories in this country? I'm surprised. I'm shocked.
A few. So it's kind of just like poking fun at the conspiracy theory that the government is poisoning everybody with the contrails on the airplanes.
Ah, the jets that leave, yeah, they're putting the gas over us. So
right, exactly. So it's just kind of a fun name.
That's funny. Yes,
we don't like to take ourselves too seriously.
So for you, what's home? What's your community that you call home growing up?
Oh, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Yep.
That's a great town.
It is.
It's great teams, man. Whether it's hockey or football or baseball.
I've been a Pirate fan my whole life.
Really? I wear a shirt that says Clemente.
Yeah.
everywhere these Pittsburgh baseball fans, Pirates fans, just, hey, you know, they shout out at me, you know, like giving me a thumb up. He was from Puerto Rico, that's why I wear them. And so they loved him in Pittsburgh.
One of my heroes, you know, growing up and listening to the games on my little transistor radio under my pillow.
Man on first, man on second.
I've got a Mazeroski shirt that I still
wow.
Yeah.
And tell me, how was your childhood growing up in Pittsburgh?
I love the city, except for the snow, which is how we kind of ended up here.
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah, you know, a lot of years of shoveling my driveway was just kind of enough. But no, I mean, Pittsburgh as a whole is just a great city, and you know, it had a bad rap. Obviously, it was the butt of a lot of jokes in the
for a while.
60s and 70s, and you know,
and
people still have this picture of Pittsburgh being this smoky, cloudy city. Now it's just cloudy. But
the smog of the still
right,
mills
and
all that.
But there's so much high tech there now, and the universities are amazing, and it's a great place. You know, I'd still be there if it wasn't for the snow.
I was there about probably 6 years ago, and I was like, I like this town.
Yeah,
it's very
beautiful.
Nice. Good vibe, just the way it's placed. Now, what instrument do you play in this band?
I play the guitar.
Okay, is that the first instrument as a child that you gravitated to?
Well, the first instrument that was put in my hands was an accordion, and
Bavarian parents? No, I'm just
Polish.
Joking. Oh,
yeah,
close enough.
My dad, I'm adopted, but my adoptive dad was Polish, and he.
That's the way to get girls.
Yeah, with the accordion. So I was about this big, and the accordion was about this big, and I just couldn't hold it. So I was like had this thing in front of my head, and it was too big for me. And so I kind of gave it up and just messed around on the keyboards for a couple of years with like little cheap electric organs and stuff, and until I was a teenager, and a friend of mine from high school introduced me to guitar, and it's been my life ever since.
Wow, wow. And what do you like about what did you find with the guitar when you played it for that first, when you started playing on the guitar and making sense? What was it that just convinced you this is it?
Well, two reasons. First, because it was a vehicle to write. I mean, my main reason for even picking up the instrument to begin with was because I wanted to write songs.
Okay.
And I also, you know, I like the guitar because there was so much material out there to teach you to learn. Like you could walk into a music store and just get like a book of all the Beatles songs. It would be like this thick, and it'd have all the chords and all the words. And
well, they'd hire someone to give lessons on Saturday afternoons.
And if I had been playing a trumpet or something, I just I'd have to walk and have to learn how to read sheet music and
hope Miles Davis adopts you.
Right. So the guitar was an easy way for me to express myself.
So how you've been playing it? How long now?
Like Captain Mayhem said, a long time.
All right. Now this band is practically new in St. Augustine.
Yes, yes.
But you guys have been playing all these different gigs for so long.
We've been playing separately. When I first moved here, I didn't really do anything, and I discovered, the open mics, and that's how I met our guitar player.
They're all
Johnny.
awesome.
Yeah.
They're all the drummer. Everyone's awesome.
Yeah, there's so many good musicians.
Man, you sound like you guys have been playing for ages. It's really good.
Thank you.
I was really very impressed for a band that's just starting to, feel each other.
Right.
And so here's my question for you. Do you remember your first gig that you ever played?
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I was just talking to the guys the other night about the first time that I played a song in front of people other than like jamming with my friends. I got this band together with some people that I knew, and we were asked to play this high school dance, and it was the first time I was ever in front of an audience. And the first song that we were supposed to play was "That Smell" by Leonard Skinner, and I was right, because of the stink factor. I didn't even think of that, what happened is I got up there and I was going to do that little opening lick, and I had to do it by myself, and I started it in the wrong key. And I didn't even realize that I had started in the wrong key
Well,
until
nervous,
the rest of the band came in. And I was like, it was so mortifying. But, you know, I got through it. And, you know, now if I screw up on stage, I
The
just
old
kinda
joke,
laugh it
right?
off.
The boat came up
I
to
might
pick
swear
me up
or
and I'm
something,
at the airport.
but, you know, right.
Yeah. You were on the wrong key. And then you started getting gigs regularly after high school? You started?
Yeah, I started playing more while I was still in college.
And it was mostly rock?
Yeah, we did a lot of we started out doing a lot of covers, but, you know, eventually the guy that was in the band with me and I just started writing a lot of songs, and by the time we parted ways, we were basically just doing our own stuff.
So that song we heard at the opening of the show?
Yeah, that's one of ours.
All right. And the one you play at the end of the show?
That's also going to be one of ours.
Wow. And the writing, did you go to school? I mean, to college?
My degree is in English writing, but
Oh,
it was
wow.
more for
So there
for
comes-
literature. I mean, I
right.
loved that. But the music and the lyrics just kind of, I don't know, it's just like an outlet for me. I just feel like I can't write anything unless I feel like I have something to say.
Right. Well, me growing up, those were my favorite guitar players, whether they're Spanish, because I grew up part in Latin America and part in the States, but, you know, who just told a story, you know? And so I remember in Spain they had Joan Manuel Serrat. All his songs were these beautiful stories of people. The woman waiting for her lover at the train station, and he keeps, you know, putting that, she keeps waiting for him every train, and you just get, you're watching a movie in your head. I love that, love that. So you think you're writing in school, when you saw a song, you saw that song was probably better than writing a book, in a way?
It is, but it's also more frustrating because you have to mesh. You have to make sure that the music and the lyrics mesh. So, you know, most of the time when I write a song, I lay out all the music and the way I want everything to sound, and then I just keep playing it over and over again until something hits me about the mood of the song, or maybe something that I heard somebody say that day, you know, gives me an idea for a lyric, and, you know, I just go from there. I mean, sometimes, you know, I can write a song in like a day and a half.
And that's what people say.
And then other times, I mean, I've got songs that I've been trying to finish for 3 years that I just, you know, I just can't find that spark to get it going.
Missing piece that just brings it all together.
And it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad song. It's just the fact that, you know, there's just nothing in my brain that makes them two things
for
match.
here and here, it's not complete.
Yeah, it's not complete, exactly.
Interesting. Who do you think were your influences when you're growing up and listening?
So many. I mean, being older, you know, I mean, I listened to the Beatles, of course, and Neil Young was a big influence with me in the early '70s, and then later on, of course, the late Tom Petty, who was one of my heroes.
Oh, he just passed away. And he's a Florida boy.
Yep, and Warren Zevon was a big influence, and then I started to kind of get into like the punk and new wave, and those are probably my biggest.
Punk and new wave.
Yeah, those were really my biggest influences.
The Ramones?
The Clash and the Ramones.
I love the Clash.
And Elvis Costello and Joe Jackson and all those guys. I mean, they just turned music around for me in the way that I looked at it.
And now there's so many new groups, you know.
And I still listen to that stuff too.
You told me that you went to a concert with your daughter, like 3 concerts in 1 week.
Yeah. We went to see. We went to see a band called Bleachers. They were great.
They are very good, and their videos are very good too.
Their videos are amazing.
I know.
Jack Antonoff is just
the old MTV
brilliant.
when they actually put work into their video.
He's brilliant. He's a great songwriter, and the videos are just amazing. And Cold War Kids was another band that we saw.
Cold War Kids, dig that
they're really
name.
good. And then a band that I didn't really know, I liked, but I didn't really know that much about. They're called Young the Giant.
The Giant.
Their show was just incredible. I mean, the guy is just such a performer, and it just made me want to like go up there or try some of the stuff that he did. It was so cool.
Right. So you keep discovering
I
wonderful
love
music.
New stuff. Yeah.
By the young bloods. So if you were on an island, you can only listen. That's my killer question. Where
I knew this was coming.
What would you want to listen to on that island that you can only listen to?
Well, if I could pick an album instead of a song, I would say The Clash's Sandinista.
All right.
Because it's a double album.
Oh, you're
And
cheating
it's-
now, man. You went from
And
song
it's
to
got-
album
well,
to
and
double
the-
album. You
and-
saw how
right.
you get some magic from the
And
pirate.
of course, the thing about the Clash was they experimented. They just didn't stay
I love
with
them.
like,
I
you
still
know,
listen
just
to
like basic punk kind of stuff. You know, they experimented with dub and reggae.
Rock the Casbah.
Right. I mean,
Rock
just
the
so,
Casbah.
you know, it's like synth stuff.
London
and,
Calling. I mean,
you know, instrumentals. I mean, Sandinista is just like a work of art.
And
to
if
me.
it were one song?
I would have to say a song that was written by a guy named Nick Lowe, but made more famous by Elvis Costello, and that would be What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding. Because the words also still kind of ring true.
I was very, when he married Diane Krall, Costello.
Yeah,
you know, they
she's
were
so
like,
good.
yeah, I love her jazzes. Yeah, I was just listening. I think she just did a song called Jimmy. I was listening to not too long ago. It was wonderful, wonderful. So, would you guys play something for us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
We would absolutely love to.
All right, thank you so much. It's so
It's a
interesting.
pleasure.
New band in town, baby. Chemtrails, rock and roll all the way. And
Cheers.
That's yours, my brother.
Hi, my name's Dana. I own Sweet City Cupcakes, and we're located at 233 West King Street. We specialize in custom cakes and cupcakes. We use fresh and local ingredients and bake fresh daily. Each of our cupcakes is decorated with a unique look to complement the flavor. We have signature cupcakes such as the Marilyn, the Elvis, the I Love Lucy. We have a unique vintage look. Stop in and say hello. Have a cup of coffee and a delicious cupcake. Even better yet, take a box home to share with the family.
At St. Augustine Distillery, we're part of a new generation of American craft distillers. Family-owned and operated, we are committed to making the best possible spirits using local agriculture. Our distillers make everything by hand, from mashing and blending to distilling and tasting each and every batch. We distill and bottle everything we sell, making sure that the spirits are just right before barreling and aging. Bottled by real people, we love showing our guests not only what we do, but why we do it. We're passionate about educating our guests to not only what goes into each bottle, but how to make the best possible cocktails. We love St. Augustine, and thanks to your purchases, we're able to give back to the community and help local organizations each and every day.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
St. Augustine Distillery, handmade with pride in the nation's oldest city.
Augustine Tonight, and there the channel opens up for you. You can watch our shows from last season and all our shows from this season that we've done so far. We'll be at the distillery next 3 shows. We want to thank Lincolnville Museum and Cultural Center. And thank you again.